Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. This time out, a 500 series digital delay. Let's get started. Today we're checking out the Eventide DDL-500, a 500 series digital delay. This is the unit right here, mounted into a workhorse cube from Radial Engineering. As you can see, it's a single space unit, does give you a readout of the time, and it has some interesting control options as well. So let's take a quick tour of the front panel. Beginning on the upper left, we have peak and signal input indicators. We have a plus 20 dB boost for input levels if you have a low level signal coming in, an input gain control. Then we have a feedback control which sets the number of repeats on the delay. We also have an invert so you can flip the polarity on those repeats. Below this we have the low pass filter frequency control knob as well as an on-off switch for that filter. This is a bypass switch here. Active means it's turned on. And then we've got an insert jack. Now this allows you to place another effect or another processor in the delay loop of the DDL-500. And that allows for some interesting possibilities. You could put a flanger, for example, on just the repeats. You could EQ the repeats. You could do other processing as well to create interesting sound effects. Moving over to the right-hand side of the delay, the top knob sets our delay time. And when you push that in, it also serves as an encoder for different parameter settings. Below that, we have a tap tempo control, so you can manually input the tempo if you like. An infinite repeat control turns infinite repeats on and off. The delay will just hold whatever's going into the input side. The next switch, delay multiply, is a very interesting switch because it allows us to change the sample rate of the DDL-500 anywhere from 12 kHz up to 96 kHz, and there are 16 different steps for that setting. Next up, we have our mix control, which controls the wet-dry blend of our effect. Next up, we have the kill plus dry switch. Now this shuts off the input to the delay while allowing the dry signal to continue through. Next up, we have our output control, which sets the output level for the module. Finally, we have the remote switch. Now this allows us to connect either a foot switch or an expression pedal for some interesting control options. For example, you could set this up to be your tap tempo. You could set it up as bypass for the delay. You could also set it up with an expression controller as your delay time or another parameter inside the module. And in fact, you could route an LFO into this input, and that allows you to create modulated delays using the DDL-500. So straight out of the box, the DDL-500 is a basic digital delay. What I have set up here is a send coming out of a track in Digital Performer, going into the DDL-500, and then going back into Digital Performer. I'm using a Motu Ultralight AVB as my audio interface. So when I push play on Digital Performer, we get a basic snare sound. And if we kill our delay return, this is our dry signal. When we bring that back in, we're hearing our repeats. When the DDL-500 is set up with the low-pass filter turned off, you get a pristine repeat of the input signal. It's a clean digital delay. But when you turn the low-pass filter on, the frequency control allows you to set how much of the high frequencies are rolled off from the echo repeats. So we'll turn that all the way up, and we still get a clean repeat. But as we reduce that, our repeats get darker and darker and darker. The tap tempo function of the DDL-500 allows us to set up a number of different rhythmic subdivisions. And those can be whole divisions. We can do quarter notes, eighth notes, 16th notes, whole notes, half notes. We can even do whole bars or up to 4 bars. We can also do triplets, and we can do dotted delay times as well. So we could have dotted quarter note, dotted eighth note triplets, whole note triplets. A lot of different rhythmic subdivisions are available there. You access those by pushing the tap tempo button, holding it in, and then turning the encoder knob. So for example, here we have a whole note triplet. The amount of delay time you get with a DDL-500 depends on the sample rate that you're operating at. For example, at the lowest sample rate, you can have up to 160 seconds of delay time, and that would give you a very long loop that you could work with. At the highest sample rate, you can have up to 10 seconds of delay time. If you're looking for a flexible digital delay that can produce a wide range of sounds and offer some very interesting control possibilities, the DDL-500 is something you should definitely check out, especially if you're into the 500 series format. It's very convenient, very easy to use. Put it in your chassis and you're ready to go. Thanks for joining me for the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.